Welcome to the Iferia TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. I'm your host, Ezekiel Iferia, and today we are joined by Yehuda Niv, the CEO and co-founder of Spines, the world's fastest growing publishing platform. He started his journey $30,000 in debt, built the largest publishing house in Israel, and then saw the need for a technological revolution. He founded Spines to use AI to completely streamline the publishing process, from manuscripts to formatted book, cover design, and even audiobook generation in under 3 weeks. In this episode, we'll explore how he's using AI to dismantle the traditional barriers to publishing and empower authors globally. So, Yehuda, welcome to the show, sir. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Ezekiel. It's great to be here.
All right, let's dive in. So, Yehuda, your story is the definition of entrepreneurial resilience. Starting a publishing house while $30,000 in debt and growing it into Israel's largest. So what was the single biggest risk you took in those early days that eventually paid off?
So, everything started when I published my first book. I was halfway throughout my master's degree at electronics engineering. And back then, I realized that the publishing process is completely broken. And I realized that I might do it better if I will try to. So I decided to bootstrap my own publishing company. I wasn't that clever about the name. I named it Niv Publishing after my last name.
Mm,
And it started very humble in my dorm room in Beersheba. It's a southern city in Israel where I studied, and it started there. And it was building a business with having zero business background. I had a vast engineering background, but I had
mm,
zero business background, so I had to learn while I'm doing that, and I learned a lot very fast, very quickly. I found good mentors to learn from, and they taught me like how to actually build a company, how to take an idea and turn it into a breathing and living company. The major leap of faith was when I left my job and decided to go all in the business, and that's when things start to actually work and the business start to grow rapidly. 13 years after that, to date, Niv Publishing is the largest publishing house in Israel, publishes over 1,200 titles a year. Just for reference, the next competition in Israel can publish about 300 titles a year. So we are four
wow.
times larger than the next player in Israel. And about 6 years ago, that's when I came across this amazing emerging technologies, AI. It was kind of new, back then. And I started to do some angel investing, and I met all of those tech founders, and I realized what they're actually working on, which is AI. And I realized that this technology will revolutionize everything, publishing included. I better do something about it. So that's when I started Spines, and that's a different story. Probably we will dig deeper into that in this podcast.
All right, all right. That's indeed a fantastic and inspiring journey. So, Yehuda, after building a massively successful traditional publishing house, you saw the need for spine. So, what was the specific limitation or pain point in your own process that made you realize the entire industry needed an AI-powered operating system?
Sure. So what I realized during my years being a publisher, I realized that to get book published, there are a lot of barriers in the process. So
Mm,
first barrier is the author actually has to finish writing his manuscript. That's the first
yeah,
barrier. Most authors will never finish writing their book. Okay. A lot of books that started but never finish being writing. Okay. And the second barrier is the author actually has, after he finished writing his manuscript, now he has to actually decide to publish it, because there are a lot of people who are very afraid of what people will say, what will happen if my mom will read my book. A lot of fears that the author has to overcome. Then there is the money barrier, because to publish a book, for example, for American authors, it will cost them somewhere between $10,000 to $50,000 to publish his book, and that's on the lower end. Okay, so there are publishers who can charge way, way above that. So it's a very expensive process, and that's not all. It's a 6 to 18 months of a process. So that's another barrier. So it's a time-intensive process of getting a book published, because there are about 15 uh, uh, um, 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 15 service providers who will work with the author or with the publisher to publish his book. Okay, so it's a labor heavy process, and it's an expensive one. So then I realized, okay, all of those barriers probably could be lowered with technology. So with AI, with Spines, what we actually did is we took a 6 to 18 months of a process of getting a book published, and we got it down to starting from 3 weeks. Okay,
Hmm.
so we got a huge barrier, and we minimized it to a very short period of time, and we actually bridged the gap between the authors and his readers, because now they can meet the reader faster. So, and second barrier we lowered is the cost of the so because we saved a lot of human labor in the process. Okay, we saved a lot of cost in the process, and with Spines, getting a book published starts from $2,000. You can get up to $17,000. That's on our very, very high end program. Okay, so it's a fraction of a cost of what it will cost to publish a book. And now we start to work on the first barrier, which is actually helping authors to finish writing his manuscript. That's still in development. That's not an easy task, to actually co-pilot the writing process of a book. And this is the tools that we are developing right now. So and also we solve another problem with AI, which is marketing, because most of the authors will always say that, okay, I got my book published, but now I need to bring more eyeballs to this book. I want to sell copies. I want to get my message out there. And most of books being published will never be read. And what we did is we developed an AI based marketing platform that can allow our authors to use in order to promote their book. Okay, so and those technologies are only being available in the past 3 years, and in the past year, it's had some major progress. So we are able to take care of editing, of proofreading, formatting, cover design, AI narrated audiobook, distribution across 100 channels. We manage the royalties, we manage the distribution. So all of that is in one operating system for an author, instead of him going and looking for an hybrid publisher or figuring out self-publishing. That's a huge, complex, and expensive project. So Spice is an alternative to all of that. Okay, and by the way, we already have 5,200 authors joined our platform. So Spice, it's not only the fastest growing publishing platform in the States. It's also a movement, like it's a movement of author who actually vote with their books, and they vote Spines. And we've been growing very fast for 2 consecutive years. We've grown in more than 1,000% in revenues. I was able to raise $22.5 million, all from top tier investors. And it's an amazing journey. It's a ton of work, it's a lot of work, but it's very enjoyable, like building a company, actually see our end users enjoying the product, leaving good reviews, referring their friends to publish books with us as well, and also publishing their second title, because now they're telling to themselves, I already published my first book. I have another one. Why not publish it also?
Hmm.
So simplifying the publishing process, making it more affordable, more straightforward. We were able to allow people to publish more than one title in less than a few months.
Wow. Those were really impressive stats. I mean, reducing the publishing time from 16 to 18 months to just about 3 weeks. That's a really fantastic one. And with thousands of people adopting it. Yeah, I think that's a really impressive stat. So, Yehuda, could you, give us like an overview of what Spine actually does? I mean, it's able to reduce publishing time from 16 to 18 months to well over 3 weeks to start. So, what does it actually do that cuts that, huge time that it actually takes to traditionally publish a book and reduces it just to well over a couple of weeks to get it done? So, what is it doing that normally takes time for authors to do manually?
So there are a lot of different tasks regarding publishing a book. And let's take, for example, the cover design. So, by the way, each task of publishing a book, it's could be a whole company trying to solve. Okay, so but take for example the cover design. So every author you will ever meet will say the same. They will say that they are very disappointed that the cover designer didn't have time to read their book. Okay, because he actually has to design covers. If you will read a book for a few weeks to design one cover, it will never make a living. So it's a problem because a designer need to design a cover that's the image of the book. That's
Yeah.
like the most important part of the book is the cover, and the one who are entitled with this job has no time to read it.
Mm,
So he's getting brief, okay, from the author or from the production manager if it's with publisher. Based on that brief, he will design something. 99% of the time, the author will never be satisfied with what he got. Then you got this weeks of going on of ping pongs and changing and drafts, and it's a never ending story to trying to design a cover for a book. What we did with Spines is the AI actually scans the book, understand the essence of the book, understand what it's all about. Then it goes and doing category research. It's understand on which categories this book is having the higher chance to succeed. Based on those categories, he can choose how the cover should look like based on how best-selling covers of books looks on those specific categories. Based on those parameters, it can start to suggest covers, and that happens in minutes. Okay, and the author can keep regenerating covers until he getting something that is like. Then he can dig into that and prompt it and change it to his liking. And this is how we took, let's say, 2 months of a process and shrank it into, I don't know, few, let's say, less than an hour. Okay, so and the end result is much better because you can find a graphic designer who can design covers and he's very good in specific genre. Okay, but our AI is can create covers at any genres. Okay, and very good ones based on best-selling ones. Okay, and that's actually giving a book a chance, and that's only one task. So let's take for example the metadata of the book. Let's say an author want to create his ebook by himself and upload it to Amazon. He can do that.
yeah.
However, he needs to figure out the metadata. Okay, so most of them have no idea what it is. It's a 1,500 lines XML file that they actually have to figure out somehow. And I can tell you that me being a publisher, it took me about 100 titles I've published that I manually uploaded to Amazon in my early days until I figure out how the metadata should work. Okay. And that's what actually determined the visibility of the book on Amazon. Okay. However, that's only Amazon. There are hundreds of channels out there. Why not list the book on each one? However, each one has different requirements for the metadata. So you have to figure out the metadata for each one.
Mm,
that that can take months of labors to actually create all of those XML files. So what publisher will actually do, they will create something which is kind of okay and is compliance with as much as many, and it won't be that accurate, but that what decides the visibility that the book will receive on those platforms. So what we do, our tools scan the book, understand what it's about doing the category research, and then it's create an optimized metadata for each channel individually in minutes instead of months, So I just gave you two examples of our tech and how it can save a lot of time and money and actually create a better result for the author. Okay. And another example, audiobook. Let's say you want to create an audiobook for your book, and to do that, let's say you want to use your own voice. So you
Mm-hmm.
will have to go to 40 hours into a
Yeah.
studio, okay, and that's terrible because most of author has no idea how to do that, and it's so hard. So what we do is we only need a sample of the author voice, and we can create a model of his voice, and we can generate the whole audiobook with his own voice. And also, let's say you don't want to use his own voice. Let's say you want to have few voice actors in his book for each different character. We can do that automatically, very fast, very quickly. So those things are only being enabled because of AI technology. And we're actually always looking for the very cutting edge solution to solve the publishing channels challenge, as best as possible with AI. This is what we do at Spines.
Wow. Really impressive. Really impressive. You really went into the details there and clearly explained how Spine does all the work for the authors. So, Yehuda, you faced criticisms from the traditional publishing industry. So, how do you respond to the arguments that AI devalues the art and craft of publishing? And what have you learned from that pushback?
Okay, funny story. When we announced our Series A, I said that we're about to publish 6,000 to 8,000 titles this year. However, I said that we're about to publish 6,000 titles, 6,000 books. I didn't say we're about to publish 6,000 authors. And
Hmm.
actually, the whole industry, they didn't read the articles and they only read the headline, and everyone was sure that we're about to generate 6,000 books with AI and publish them. And that's completely the opposite of what we are doing, because Spines, we are here to empower authors, not to replace them. Okay. But we had a messaging mistake that we got a lot of, let's say, angry people thinking that we're about to replace the author. But that's not the case. Okay. So what actually we are doing is we are enable more authors to get the word out there, to get more readers, to get their message into the world, powered by AI, empowered by AI, not replaced by AI. Okay. So we use AI as a leverage to help more authors, because I believe, so in the States, there are 2.5 million titles published annually. But because of the barrier to getting published is so huge, I believe there are a lot of that are not being published, much more than that are not being published. And by using AI, we are actually helping more authors to get their publishing dream being realized. So that's the opposite of what people thought at the beginning that we're about to do. And that's okay. It was our mistake in messaging. We corrected that. Now when we speak to the press, we tell them that we are publishing authors. We're not publishing books, we're publishing authors. That is a huge difference.
Hmm.
However, on top of that, traditional publishers, they don't get what we are doing, because out of the 2.5 million titles that are published every year, only 50,000 out of them are published with the traditional ones.
Hmm.
All the authors are not the top tier authors. They are the upcoming authors, and they will never be selected by those traditionals. So they will have to go untraditional. That means that they will have to pay someone to get published. Either they will have to go to a hybrid publisher who will charge them $50,000, or they will have to figure out self-publishing by themselves. And now they have to deal with all of those editors, graphic designers, service providers, Amazon experts. But they want to write books. They don't want to become a publisher. So Spines is an alternative to all of that. Okay. So this is why traditional publishers don't get us, because they don't realizing what we are doing. We are not here to to find which books are better to be published for us to sell more copies. Okay, I don't care about that. I only care about the authors. The authors has a dream he wants to realize. He has a manuscript he's spent a year writing, and I'm here to help him get it published. And after I did that, I will help him to get readers. Okay, but I'm working for the authors, and the traditional publishers, they are working for the readers, and that's a huge difference. Okay, so those are two reasons why we get all of this, let's say, hate. Okay, but what is more important is our users and those who chose publishing their book with Spines. And if you will speak with them, if you will see what they are reviewing on the internet, you will see that we are getting a huge amount of love from our users. And that's what's important, because we help them publish their book, we help them get their publishing dream being realized. And on every month, between 300 to 400 new authors joining Spines every month. So it's don't really matter what the traditional publishers are saying. What is matter is what the authors are choosing and voting with their books. And every month, between 300 to 400 new authors joining Spines, and that's amazing, and that's what's important. And we will help much more than that in the coming years.
Yeah, fantastic response there,
Thank you.
Yehuda. All right, so Yehuda, I think raising $22.5 million is a huge milestone, and that's insanely impressive. So, what would you say, for the founders listening, what would you say was the core metric or insight about your business that you believe convinced investors to bet on you transforming this ancient industry of publishing?
So I think being first at something is very important. Spines were the first to realize the opportunity in the publishing, and not all. We come from a lot of experience. Me and the team in publishing, we actually built a very big publishing company. I call it a founder market fit. Okay, so being a founder comes from a specific industry, building a company in that specific industry, and now trying to do that again with technology, that's very important and helpful. Also, being able to actually build products that works, creating a solution for end users that actually works, and proving a strong product market fit is that actually our users want our product and are willing to pay for that, and having a unit economics. So not only having a product market fit, so here is a product that people actually want, but here is a product that people actually want, okay? And it has unit economics. That means that we're actually profiting from each book we publish. And on top of that, there is enough scale to grow the company too. So having all of those in place, like being first, being a founder from the specific industry, having unit economics, having product market fit, and having a big enough of an industry to grow into. Okay, so having all of those in place is this is what actually VCs are looking for, and they are willing to invest in. Um, and uh, and and the only reason I was able to create all of those is because I come from the industry, because I understand the authors very deeply. I know what they want, so I was able to build the product for them. I understand how to market to authors because I've been doing that for 13 years now. Okay, I understand how to create a unit economics in a company because I've managed a big company before that. Okay, so having all of those in place, okay, because there are a lot of amazing ideas for startups. Okay, 99% of them will fail, and what's difference between them and the 1% that succeed is having all of those in place. And also, one of my investors told me that he believes that the strongest attribute for a founder is resilience, because in business you will have hard times and you will have to push through them. A lot of founders will give up when it become hard, and the ones who succeed are those who continue although it seems sometimes impossible.
Mm.
And this is a very important a skill for an author founder to understand that. Okay, this is for example, a war broke up in Israel. Okay, many of my employees went through the army. Okay, and I had to figure out how to keep running the company. Okay,
Mhm.
so those are kind of challenges. A lot of startups in Israel were unable to fundraise. Okay, too many important people got drafted to the army and they end up closing. Okay, but there are the other ones were able to push through that period of time, and that's resilience. No matter what happened in your country, in the world, in your industry, in your life, no matter what happened, you will keep pushing forward and lead the company through hard waters. So this is, I believe, this is the major, and investors have a very good eye for that. They saw me in a lot of situations, and they probably realized that they better bet on me. So I believe all of those combined what allows us to fundraise. And of course, having this capital in place helps you to grow faster, move faster, get stronger talent, because eventually the ones who build the company is the people. With Spines, we are already 150 employees working in this amazing company, and access to that talent was enabled with this fundraise, and that's what allows us to create this amazing product, get it to the authors, and grow so fast. So everything combined.
All right. Those were really great and insightful advice on how to go about fundraising. So, Yehuda, what gives you the most hope about the future of storytelling and creativity in an AI augmented world?
So you know I'm an electronics engineer that worked with calculus. My
Yeah,
my parents had to remember all the multipliers and numbers in their head, but my generation didn't. Okay, we had this is mathematician best friend. Okay.
yeah, I,
Okay.
I, I own one of that.
Okay, so same thing is going to happen with AI for writers. Okay, so everyone can write a story, but AI can make you write it better, faster, improve it. Okay, give you clever ideas for the ending, make it more funny, make it more thrilling. So same as calculus is the mathematician best friend, AI tools will be the author's best friend as well. I believe this is the future of every industry. Okay, every industry will be powered by AI. I only care about publishing, but there are a lot of opportunities for every industry. How AI can empower the user, the end user, the companies. This is on the short mid time frame. However, in the long time frame, there are a lot of outcomes that few of them I'm very afraid of. But that's a different podcast.
All right, right. I mean, having to use the calculator throughout my 5 years in the university, I can relate very much to what you just said there. In your work, which is about using technology to democratize creation and dismantle old gatekeeping systems in the publishing. So, what does the word innovation truly mean to you in that field?
I believe that innovation is to look at reality and to say to yourself, this is not good enough. I can change that. And this is how I am about to do that.
Hmm.
And this is innovation. And of course, when you start, you realize that all your assumptions were wrong, and you have to figure that out while you are trying to solve that.
Hmm.
So, but this is innovation, like to find a problem big enough, important enough that you actually care about and believe that you can solve that and improve that and actually take actions and continue even if it doesn't work at the beginning. Keep pushing, and eventually everything will fall in place. This is what I think about innovation. I don't believe in the aha moment, like you wake up in the morning and you have this $1 billion idea. I don't think this is how things works, you know? Like innovation is a try and error repeat of a progress. It's
All right, that was a fantastic response. So finally, Yehuda, for our listeners who are authors or perhaps simply just curious to see this spine technology in action. So where is the best place for them to go learn more or perhaps try spine for themselves?
So if you are an author, you finish writing your manuscript, you want to publish it, we support 6 languages. You can go to spines.com, you can choose a plan, and you can start the process today. Also, if you already published a book in any different language and you want to enter the American market, the American readers market, which is the second only to China, okay, you can translate your book to English with our technology, with Spines, and then get published in the States. Or if you already published a book in English, you can use our tool to translate it, for example, for Spanish and to double your audience. So a lot of solutions for authors. So just go to spines.com, choose a plan, and you can also book a call with one of our um, publishing experts, and they can help you with the process. And if you want to learn more about Spines and what we do, you can also follow me on Instagram. It's Yehuda Niv in English. Most of my page is in Hebrew. However, I'm about to open a new one in English as well. But a lot of updates and good and funny materials are going into my Instagram as well.
All right, Yehuda, it's been a really fantastic, a really insightful conversation with you, and I am totally excited to have you on the show today, sir.
Thank you very much, Ezekiel. It was great.